Trump accounts. What are they? How do they work? And when will they be arriving? In this video, we're going to dive in and show you guys exactly how this Trump proposal is going to affect you if or when it goes into law. All children born between 2025 and 2028 will reap a baby shower gift from Congress and President Donald Trump, a $1,000 deposit into a, quote, Trump account. Think of Trump accounts as seed money to encourage children and families to save and build wealth for the many expenses of adulthood. Trump accounts are part of the tax and spending package signed into law this summer by President Trump. They join a crowded field of tax advantage savings plans that help Americans navigate the costs of education, healthcare, and retirement, among other things. How do they work? The government pledges to create an account for any baby born between 2025 and 2028 and to fund it with a one-time deposit of $1,000. To qualify, the baby would only need a Social Security number. Parents and others may contribute up to $5,000 a year into the accounts until the child turns 18. An employer may contribute up to $2,500 toward the $5,000 cap. State and local governments and private charities will be allowed to make broad contributions. To claim an account, parents may have to check a box on a tax form testifying that they are new parents, said Williams of the Retirement Clearinghouse. The new law requires Trump accounts funds to be invested in low-cost stock index funds, which mirror performance of an index such as the S&P 500. So these accounts are basically just a way to have the money ride the stock market, kind of like a traditional investing account. You can't generally withdraw money from a Trump account until the year a child turns 18. After that, it functions like a traditional individual retirement account. That means 20 or 30 years from now, a young adult will be able to withdraw money to cover education expenses or a first-time home purchase without penalties. You can also hold on to the money until retirement. At age 59 and a half, the early withdrawal penalties go away. Given the promise of free money from the government, Ringbauer said, who's a certified public accountant, it's hard to imagine many parents will pass up a chance to sign up for an account. Anything is better than nothing. There are so many kids who start out with nothing. If your goal is to save for a child's education, a 529 education savings account, quote, offers more flexibility and tax benefits according to a tax foundation analysis. I think most parents are going to be better off saving in a 529 for their children rather than this new Trump account, but it certainly makes sense to collect on the $1,000 contribution, said Romnia Bokia, director of budget and entitlement policy at the Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank. Bakia calls Trump accounts a blatant giveaway and a way for the Trump administration in their hopes to leave a permanent mark by naming a rather useless savings account after the current president. On the other hand, a Trump account encourages the kind of long-term retirement saving that financial planners generally recommend. The earlier you invest, the more your investments are likely to grow before you cash them out. The initiative will cost an estimated $15 billion through 2034 at a time when the U.S. government faces a $37 trillion national debt. Even so, proponents hope the new accounts will inspire a generation of children to gain financial literacy as they build wealth for adulthood. Mike, what do you think about the Trump accounts that we're learning about here in the age of capitalism that we live in?
I think it's an interesting concept. I'm not sure if it's really been talked about or promoted by anybody else beforehand. Sort of like that article was saying, it could be good. You know, having anything is better than having nothing as far as having a head start in life. But at the same time, at least from what that one expert was saying, it sounds like it's also sort of useless, or it pales in comparison to another education fund. So this could be a lot of flash, not a lot of substance. It's really hard to say. But I think another thing that's sort of interesting to look at is I believe they mentioned that it would have 25 million accounts. So in a country with 300 million people, clearly this isn't going to affect everybody. And it is specifically for newborns. But while you were sort of reading through the articles, I did some Googling, and it mentioned that this is only from 2025 to 2028. So within those years, on average, the newborn rate was around 3.6 million per year. So even if you add up all of those in that short amount of time, it doesn't even reach 25 million. It only reaches like 14 million. So, like, where are they going to get? Where does that extra money go? Things like that. So there's a lot of stuff that's weird about it. And I don't really know what I think of it, but um, the one thing that I definitely think of it is that it's very interesting that this is coming from a Republican, because this to me sounds like the well branded communism and socialism that they often cry about in terms of, hey, you can't take money from the government. That's a free handout. This is free money. I think the libertarian think tank said. I think so. It's like which is it? Is this good old capitalism, or is this socialism just wrapped in a red ribbon?
Yeah, I think what they would say to that is because it's going into the stock market, that's capitalism, baby. This ain't a free handout because anyone invested in the stock market is going to benefit from this, right? Like if you have a 401k, if you have a wealthy portfolio of investments, these $1,000 contributions are going to push up the stock market. So this is actually a very clever way to prop up something that is very fragile, which is the US stock market. And I think the reason why this has probably more support than most of Trump's ideas is because lots of billionaires are going to be happy about the fact that their investments are going to continue to grow with this being something to help prop them up. In addition to the AI bubble that we're existing in right now, that's getting ready to pop, and this kind of circular economy that we have between, NVIDIA and OpenAI and Oracle and all these companies kind of just throwing money between each other. This is probably a bit more stable way to prop up the economy. But then what happens next? Like, what do we do next? What happens after this does not sufficiently prop up the stock market? What's the next step?
Right. So that was something else I wanted to talk about too, where again, it's from the years 2025 to 2028, and these are newborns, which they can't access it until they're 18 years of age. So effectively, you've got this big boost to the market happening now over a very short period, and then in 18 years they get to cash in. But who knows what can happen in 18 years? There could be another crash. Who knows? So it does. While I'm reluctant to call it a bad idea because I don't fully understand it, and I'm all in favor of giving people a head start on life, it feels very sketchy. It feels very uncertain. It feels kind of inflated. And again, just to see this coming from the right, which is something they often demonize, I think just is like the cherry on top.
Yeah, it seems like the only thing the right wants to do is if they're going to give you something, it's going to be something that you cannot tangibly have now. Raising the minimum wage, you can feel that now. Universal basic income, you could feel that now. Stimulus check, you could feel that now. But this kind of idea is something you have to hold for either 59.5 years, or when you're getting ready to make a big purchase and you're like, I don't have the money for this. Oh crap, I better pull out my investment account that would only continue to grow, but I kind of need it now. Otherwise, I'm going to be homeless. And that's kind of unfortunate. This just seems like a way to get young unborn kids to get hooked on capitalism before they even pop out of the womb. And there's a certain level of greed to that because it's just feeding into the system from the start. But at the same time, capitalists love it because it's only going to boost their portfolios. Once again, it's like using babies to boost their investment accounts. And when you look at it like that, it's not that pretty of a picture. But we'll have to see how this all plays out. If they're going to affect starting next year or starting, I guess, this year, 25 through 28. And we'll see what comes of it. We'll see if this is something that, if it does work, the next administration that comes in, we'll see if they continue it. We'll see if they replace it with something better. Because for sure, there's 1,000 better ways to get money into people's hands. And this just seems like a tiny step towards something better than nothing. But why are we grasping for straws? We can do so much better like a UBI, in my opinion.